Hey beauties, this is Dorian, your favorite makeup artist and photographer. So I just want to bring you guys a series where I am just recording my client's makeup. Today we'll be doing a pink soft glam look. She wanted her makeup done for her birthday picture, so here we go. I love to start my clients off with a fresh face, so I'm just using the micellar rose water from Garnier, and I will leave everything down in the description box that I use. Here I'm just brushing out her brows using the spoolie from the Benefit Brow Cosmetics. I'm using the shade 4 to fill in her brows. And let me tell you guys something. This brow pencil is not cheap. It's $24 for this little brow pencil. And I find that my cheaper pencils perform actually better than this pencil. So when I run out of this pencil, I more than likely will not go back and get it, because why spend all that money on a product that will perform just as well as my cheaper pencils? So that's that. And when I'm doing brows, I really love to just follow along the natural shape of my client's brow. I do not like to overdraw their brows. I don't know. It's just my preference because that's what I do to my brows. I don't overdraw them. So I find that people look better when their natural features are just enhanced. Not overly enhanced, just naturally enhanced. So I am taking my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer in the shade C12.5, I believe. Yes, C12.5. And I'm just using that to clean up her brows and define the shape of the brow more. This was my first time trying out this shade, which is C12.5. I tried out C13 before on myself, but it wasn't like a highlight shade for me, so I wasn't a big fan of it. And they don't really have that many shade ranges for women of color to choose from, so that's my only big concern that I have. But for the top of the brow, I took my L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer in the shade Coca 420. And I really like that shade for the top of her brow because I like to conceal the top of the brow with a shade close to the skin tone. I added some more of the Makeup Revolution concealer in C12.5, and I'm just taking my Real Techniques brush and blending everything together. I added the concealer to the lids to prep her lids for eyeshadow application. When you are doing eyeshadows, you want to use a concealer that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin tone so that your shadows will pop. For her eyeshadow look, I mainly used the palette, my Morphe palette. This was the collaboration with Nikita. And this eyeshadow look was really just trial and error. You can see I was like going back and forth with a little bit of everything. Like right here, you can see I'm using a shade in my Soft Glam palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. And then when I realized I really didn't need it, I just continued to use the Morphe palette. So for the crease color, I used a combination of the light pink shade and the dark pink shade. And you can see that I'm just going back and forth trying to buff and blend everything out to get a seamless finish. I used the light pink shade as like a buffer shade. I don't know if that word is like a thing, but I'm gonna make it a thing. But I was really just using that so that I can soften up the dark pink shade that I use. And here I'm just going back in with the dark pink shade to add back in the color, because I noticed when I was using the light pink shade, it was taking away the color from the dark pink shade. So really with eyeshadows, you just have to go with the flow. Right here, I am just taking a flat brush and I am using the same concealer that I've been using by Makeup Revolution, and I am just creating a crease. It's not going to be a perfect cut crease. I'm really just trying to create a base for me to apply the shimmer shadow that I'll be using. I took the lightest pink shimmer shade from my Aina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm using this to create the pink shimmery look. Right here, I'm just going back in with that dark pink shade to soften up the edges of the cut crease that I made. I'm just going back in with that light pink shade to soften up the edges once again. Right here, I'm just taking that dark pink shade from the Morphe palette and I am toning down the shimmer shade to make the look appear more pink. I provide a variety of lashes, so I give my clients the freedom of choosing their own lashes. But right here, I'm just applying my Milk Hydro Grip primer, my favorite primer of all times. You guys should know this by now. But I'm applying that to her face with a flat brush. And here I'm just taking a cotton pad with some of the micellar rose water on it, and I'm using that to clean up any fallout that I may have did with the eyeshadow under her eyes. I am applying some SPF primer by Milani onto her face because as women of color, we must protect that skin, honey. I applied her lashes off camera, and right here I'm just taking some mascara by Essence and using that to connect her natural lash with the false lashes. And yes, I'll leave the link to the lashes down below. I love to get all my lashes from Amazon and Ulta. The foundation that I'm using is the NARS Natural Radiant Long Wear Foundation, and this is in the shade New Caledonia. And I'm applying it with my Instapop Cheek Brush by Real Techniques. And you guys, this foundation is so bomb. I wish I could just go buy every shade of it to have it in my kit right now. But it's a little expensive, it's like $50. But it applies so smooth and buttery. I am taking the Makeup Revolution concealer, the same one I've been using this whole tutorial, in the shade C12.5, and I'm applying it under her eyes as a highlight shade, on the bridge of her nose, her chin, and her forehead. I wanted to lighten up that highlight shade, so I took my Juvia's Place concealer in the shade 10, I believe. To contour her face, I'm taking the e.l.f. Hydrating Camel Concealer in the shade Rich Ebony, and I'm applying that on her forehead, on her cheekbones. I'm taking a damp beauty blender, and notice I said damp. You don't want to use a dry beauty blender because it won't perform as well as a damp beauty blender. Just mark my words. But I'm just taking that to blend in all that concealer, and I'm taking a buffing brush to blend out all of the contour that I did. Right here, I'm just using whatever was left on the foundation brush just to blend everything together and blend out any harsh lines that I see. To set all the areas that I that I highlighted, I'm taking my Juvia's Place setting powder in the shade Gobi. I wanted to keep the yellow tones in her face, so I'm using this setting powder to set all of the areas that I highlighted. And I love to use a beauty blender to press all of the powder in. I'm taking my Real Techniques setting brush and I'm just dusting off any excess powder that was left behind from the setting powder. To set the areas that I contoured, I am taking my Fenty Beauty bronzer in the shade Mocha Mommy, and I am just using a contouring brush to set everything in. And I love this shade bronzer for deeper skin tones because I can also use it as a blush, and it's just so beautiful. I'm taking the same bronzer to contour her nose, and right here I am taking my Black Radiance finishing powder in the shade Milk Chocolate just to mesh everything together and blend out any harsh lines. I want to define the nose some more, so I'm taking the same setting powder from Juvia's Place and I'm pressing that in along her nose. So I decided to do a blush look, so I'm just taking my Morphe palette. I think it's called Arm Beauty something. I will leave it in the description box. But I like to use eyeshadow as a blush because it's like a 2-in-1 thing. And I took the residue of the powder from Black Radiance to blend out more of the blush. And right here I'm just taking that Real Technique setting brush to sweep off any excess powder. To set everything, I'm taking my Hangover RX 3-in-1 setting powder by Too Faced, and I just like to use this before I use my final setting spray just to make everything melt and sync together. To line her lips, I'm just taking a regular brown lip liner. You can get this from your local beauty supply, it really doesn't matter. And I am taking my Morphe gloss in the shade Virgin, not gloss, it's a Morphe matte lipstick. It's in the shade Virgin, and I apply this to get that pink shade. And then I take a clear gloss. You can find this at a beauty supply store as well. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. I think this was like $2 or probably less. But I just used this to create that gloss. And that is like my favorite lip combo for all of my clients. I am taking my Morphe palette and using that dark pink shade to apply some eyeshadow under her eyes. I just wanted to bring in more pink. And I'm taking the same mascara to do her bottom lashes. And I just took a little bit of highlight, nothing serious, to highlight her face. I took that same setting spray and set her face for the final time. And this time I'm taking the bottom of the beauty blender to set everything together. This is the finishing look. If you enjoyed this tutorial and would like to see more, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, guys. Like this video. And I will leave the link to everything that I used for this look in the description box. And I will also leave the link to my new and improved website, you guys. I worked so hard on that website. But just go check it out. Let me know your thoughts and everything. And I will leave the link to all my social media down below.